outside of the actual classroom. Okay, so please. Just a few things and this is just such a blessing that Heritage Middle School is right next to us. Our fifth graders are able to participate in a number of sports, wrestling, archery, basketball, cross country, track, volleyball. But we've also expanded that, recognizing that our third and fourth grade students now, one would hope in the near future, we're able to incorporate PE. Just throwing that out there. But recognizing that this year our third and fourth graders are needing some outlets that the fifth graders had, but they didn't have the opportunity. We've done a couple of things. A parent volunteer has incorporated volleyball club, and it started out with a 15-person minimum, and it grew to 55 kids. And so, and we extended it and expanded it, and that was a blessing. Ms. Noden, who is our teacher of the quarter, and Ms. Alvis, fourth grade teacher, they've taken it upon themselves, and we've gotten them some supplies and a few things for it. A fitness club, which again started out as, we're going to cap this at 25 kids, and now has 60. And so they've incorporated some parent volunteers, and now our kids can throw a ball and kick, and they're actually going to be competition in the annual kickball game, which now I'm thinking that was probably a bad idea. But so we're giving them some athletic outlets there. Please. We're also allowing them to be part of the school environment. We have a variety of things going on to promote them being part of not only Chino Valley, but Del Rio specifically. We have student council that they're involved in, yearbook club, and all the ones with stars are sponsored by teachers and run therein. We have recycling club, which just was making their rounds this morning. We have KDRN, the Kids Del Rio News, which is where we have our announcements, completely student run, and they produce them twice a week so that students can see them in their classroom while they're having breakfast. And if you watch any of those, there's weird little cameos of me in the background, and kids keep trying to find me. We have after school tutoring, which is affiliated with specifically reading and math. Teachers are taking that on. Obviously, we have Friday school, which we've mentioned relatively ad nauseum on all of our campuses. We promote character counts, and we promote so that students are having fun while they're in the classroom and want to come to the classroom. We have spirit days throughout. We have both secret spirit days for teachers that we don't tell kids what they are, but we all try to dress thematically. And we also have them for kids. You can see every Thursday we have Spirit Day, and that would be our lovely young third grader there in the bottom right. She wins every week. She's decked out like that. And then on the left there, at least as from my viewpoint, yep, on the left there, for the 100th day of school, we said dress like a 100-year-old, and so there we are. It was, and 2 students dressed as me. I don't know how to take that exactly, but and so we're trying to make it fun for them to be there in clubs, and actually clubs that have some benefit. Obviously, yearbook comes out, and all of those have some benefit therein. And please, we also have some after-school clubs that are community-based and involve members of the community. We're always looking to do more of this. We have the Good News Club, which actually just met this afternoon, which is helping incorporate not only a kind of polite nature, but is really going towards our characters count mentality, trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, citizenship. We have a quilting club, which I'm actually quite shocked at how many kids are in that. It's pretty amazing. Sewing machines, and they walk out at the end of the year with a quilt of their own design, and obviously a practical skill. I just read, as my youngest son is 18, I just read the other day that only 21% of incoming college freshmen know how to sew a button and only 25% of college freshmen know how to make a hard-boiled egg. And so it's a little bit disconcerting as well. We have ukulele club, which, to be quite honest, when I came in and heard we had a ukulele club, I was a little bit skeptical. But when I walked through there in the afternoons, those kids are having a ball and playing music, and it's actually a hoot. I love it very much. And one of the things that has become a tradition, we can see it there in the upper left, is the Elks Club comes in every year and gives every single one of our third graders a dictionary. And I see fifth graders who still have their Elks dictionary. And we're promoting the use of these crazy things that are called books. They have paper in them, and if you open them, they have words. And so we're obviously trying to get as many members of the community as we can. Kids love that. Thematically, going back to, if you could, thematically going back to learning while you're having fun. We do a variety of things. I mentioned earlier, but just to come back to theme days, we have 100-year-old day. We have spirit weeks. We have the ones in the bottom left there. This is what I get for being gone for a day. And my Mrs. Hickson and Mrs. Krauser arranged for Dress Like Dr. Moody Day. And so I do appreciate the one young lady with sleeve tattoos. That was good. Well, Red Ribbon Week, we read across America. We have Family Fiesta Night. That's actually my phone going off, sorry. Holiday happenings where kids are coming with, and a lot of these Family Fiesta Night, holiday happenings, field trips, the Thanksgiving feast, the book fair, the Veterans Day, they're bringing their families in, which is promoting us as a family school and family district, which is one thing that I have not seen in most of my career, but I love seeing here. Field trips are obviously at grade levels. We had just today 2 fourth grade classes take a field trip to go for a hike. We have our entire 5th grade class going to a classical music concert tomorrow, which is nice, seeing 5th graders scrambling in saying, how do you tie a tie? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm wearing a bolo. I don't know. We can see in the bottom right there, that was to celebrate Arizona Heritage Day, and they were dressing up, and I said, stop so I can take your picture, and they said no, and I took it anyway. And quite honestly, one of the best days of the year for me and one of the best incorporations of the community has been Veterans Day. And again, I would invite you to our Veterans Day Assembly next year if you haven't gotten the opportunity. But one of the things that we're going to be doing the week after the break, and we do it every quarter, last one, thank you, is celebrating success. And again, when they're successful in reading, writing, math, science, social studies, we want to celebrate that. Just like we have teacher of the quarter, just like we have classified staff of the quarter, we want to celebrate that with kids as well, whatever their skill set may be. We have 2 students just this last week who won a motocross competition, brother and sister, in different age brackets. And so we announced that. We have awards assemblies every quarter for honor roll, for principals list, for million words, for meeting, just meeting your AR goals, meeting your reading goals. Okay? Obviously, we have million word recognition. We have that banquet coming up, and we recognize that as it happens. Tomorrow, if members of the board are not doing anything, we have the Future Chef competition, wherein 5 kids submitted recipes. And after lunch tomorrow, they will get to make those recipes for a panel of judges. It's actually put on by Sodexo, so some gold stars for Sodexo. The kids all have chef jackets and chef's hats, and they're walking away with cooking implements. And members of the high school culinary arts program are to come over and mirror them so that we don't have 3rd graders playing with knives. And so it seems like a bad idea, but that's going to be tomorrow. And we're recognizing something outside of the classroom, but obviously it's using math and incorporating that. And the last thing I'll say is this year it's going to be on May 22nd, but to celebrate all of this collectively, we have Field Day, which is really just us playing with water outside. But in that Field Day, we've kind of scheduled it so it's on the day where graduating seniors are walking through the district, so that they see these graduating seniors walking through the district to see where they're going to be, and then we celebrate their accomplishments for the year. Obviously, one would hope that we are going to add to this next year. I know that we've already got a couple of teachers and I are going to start a chess club next year. So if any of you think you're up to a little bit of a challenge, I've got a couple fourth graders that tell me they're going to beat me. So I'm looking forward to it. And they might actually. That's probably fair. But I just wanted to take a moment because we talk a lot about math. We talk a lot about reading and ELA, which is important, but it's not everything. And so I wanted to kind of just paint a picture for everything else that's going on outside. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate your rapt attention.
Well,
Any
Dr.
questions?
Moody, as always, you impress me. Congratulations on everything you do, and
It's
thank you.
not me. It's completely the faculty.
Thank
It
you.
absolutely is.
Any comments
Well,
on this
Doc,
side? Yeah.
oh,
Go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, I'm a bit shocked at your audacity to suggest,
can't wait.
two things. Or no, three things now, especially after your concluding remark there. That number one, we have known for centuries, certainly since the classical Greeks, that education fundamentally is all about learning how to learn. Secondly, to suggest that learning can be worked in with fun, that's rather outrageous. And then lastly, to suggest that it's not just about reading, writing, and arithmetic. There are other things as well. So I applaud you for that audacity.
All right, thank you.
Good job.
I want kids to want to come to school.
Dr. Moody, what
Yes,
time
ma'am.
is your lunch tomorrow?
Future chef judging is going to be somewhere around 1:45 in our cafeteria, the cafetorium.
See if I can get it.
Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome to come. It'll be fun.
Once again, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving along, agenda item 6B, our superintendent report. Mr. Schultz.
You have my superintendent report on your desk. And actually, since we kind of left with Future Chefs, we're going to talk about the Golden Plate Award, which is another accomplishment of Sodexo. So we had 3 district schools, the high school, Del Rio, and Territorial, earned Golden Plate Awards for 2022. And there's 3 requirements. One is operate the entire calendar year without a cited priority or priority foundation violation, food handling violation. And I'm going to, Cindy, I think Cindy has an understanding of how difficult that can be.
Very much so.
Yeah, it's not a simple task to do that. Have an approved and implemented food safety plan, which everyone should have, and we did. They have a person in charge, which they do. So this is just an indication of the quality programs that Sodexo are putting on. And we left the middle school out, but I don't think it might have been 1 or 2 violations at most, and so not a big deal. So, but I do want to give a shout out to the staffs at Territorial, Del Rio, and high school cafeterias for their hard work.
Do we have any representation from them tonight?
We don't.
Okay.
And I think they actually they can get those awards at a county superintendent meeting,
Okay,
I believe.
just wondering.
Enrollment, there's a summary of the enrollment right now. We're at the 104th day. Is that what I put? 104th day as of yesterday. So our 100th day is passed. So these numbers will change slightly, but they should not change significantly from month to month. So right now we're about 35 ADM over last year, and again past the 100th day. A legislative update, kind of been a little bit quiet. I don't know what's going on there. I did have a chance to meet with Senator Bennett a couple weeks ago, and there's a proposal on some significant options for school finance that really wouldn't impact us. But I wanted to share that with him, and he was very much listening. I think that we had a very good conversation. We talked about some other things that impact us. But it seems like right now there isn't a whole lot that's out. They did the legislature did what they call a skinny budget, which is basically taking the existing budget, moving it forward. That was vetoed. So we'll see. It'll be interesting, as I mentioned, with a Republican legislature and a Democrat governor. So kind of waiting on that. Kind of related to that, so we are moving forward. We need to move forward with budget stuff. So we're assuming the minimum, which is 2% increase to M&O. And that's the minimum according to state law. So we're moving forward with that. We have some projects. Just, I was a little bit excited, and, paint on the ground makes me excited, I suppose. They were doing some blue stake over at the Del Rio parking lot. So hopefully they're getting ready to do that. I don't know, but I got excited when I was over there today. The football field bathrooms have walls, and I think they're putting in plumbing fixtures as this week. And just and I think I mentioned about the roofing projects. We need for it to warm up a little bit for that spray on roof coating to adhere. So kind of waiting on those projects, but they're in planning stages. The teacherage is kind of in planning and design right now, moving forward. So there is that. We have our staff of the quarter. I want to share. We had we have awesome staff all over the place, but I wanted to, these were who were highlighted this quarter. At Territorial, our teacher was Lizzie Kreidinger, and our staff member was Kim Peralt. At Del Rio, Dr. Moody had mentioned Melissa Noden. She was our teacher of the quarter. And our staff member, speaking of Sodexo, was Narda Lofton, who has been a longtime staff member and is kitchen manager down at the Del Rio kitchen. We have Jenny Gappinger, who actually is at both the high school and the middle school. She's our band teacher. So she was at the HMS recognition. And Christine Miller was our staff member. And then we have Rita Johnson, who it was flashbacks. She's the chemistry teacher. So I was in that chemistry room. I haven't been in there in a while. And then Regina Rusinich, I believe is how you say it. And she is helping out our resource teachers at the high school, doing a great job for both math and language arts at the high school. And then Eric Rudnick, who's a former Del Rio teacher. He is our IT instructional coach. He has been doing a heck of a job kind of keeping us in collecting feedback about the at-home learning and developing procedures and keeping us in line when it comes to that. So he gets some kudos for that. And lastly, speaking of at-home learning, I want to talk a little bit about that. I had a kind of a meet the soup meeting on Monday at Overflow, and we had 8 people there, which I was happy with, and one of them being Marcia, so she was there, so I appreciate that. But one part of the discussion was at-home learning, and it was clear there's frustration among parents when we do that, and I understand that. I understand that 100%. The problem is if we don't do at-home learning, we're keeping kids home snow days. And so the kids would be home either way. There's been some discussion about, well, we're taking away kids' snow days. Parents are more than welcome to, all they have to do is call the school. I'm excusing my child from at-home learning this day. We're going to go play in the snow. That's the parents' prerogative. And we will do nothing about that. That's the parents' choice that they can absolutely do that. The material tends to be, we don't want to necessarily, we want to focus on reinforcement and just reinforcement review. So kind of no new material. So we had a parent that was concerned that their child was missing material, and that's taken care of. If we don't do this, other school districts have the option of canceling days, going from 180 down to 177, 175, whatever that is that works out. We have to make those days up. We have one snow day that we've used. That was last Thursday. That means we extend the school year past the 22nd of May. And guess who's going to show up the 23rd and the 24th and the 25th of May? No one. So we're getting more impact by doing our at-home learning in my opinion, and I think that the administrative team, I think, feels the same way. By doing it this way, then we would, calling snow days or whatever. And also I want to share, I'm up at usually those days at 4 a.m. I'm texting Mr. Pottis from Humboldt, and Karen gets my text, and Mr. Howard from Prescott. We're trying to be at least on the same page, realizing that Prescott's 1,000 feet higher than Chino and things like that. So we're communicating. Sometimes we make the same decisions, sometimes we don't. But I am trying to figure out what's safe for students and staff between 5:30 in the morning when our buses start rolling out to 5:30 at night when our buses finally get in. So I'm deciding what's going to happen that day 12 hours ahead of time. And I'm relying on the weather. I look at WeatherBug, I look at weather.com, I look at NOAA. So I'm trying to get all the resources I can on what is the weather going to look like. And sometimes I'm wrong, but I'm going to err on the side of safety. And so, and again, I understand how frustrating it is. I've been saying this for 3 years, literally. Our students learn better and our teachers teach better when they're in person. But there's just times in these situations that we have to do that. We have committed to, we've learned, and we're going to do some additional professional development in the fall for our staff so that they are better. They've been doing a fantastic job at home learning. We have done a fantastic job, having only done it. This is our first real year. We did it one day last year, which was packets, if you recall. This is our first real adventure into this. And our teachers have done fantastic. We can always improve. That's where Eric's coming in. He's coming up with some plans on how to improve this process. But it was interesting because I was talking, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, to the district's attorney, Mr. Ledbetter. He actually reached out to me asking if he could give my name to another superintendent because they're looking at doing something similar. Because they're in a more snowy area and trying to address and not have it to deal with these snow days. And we have devices that we're giving kids, families. We have devices we have more devices now than we have people that want them. So if somebody wants a device, a Chromebook, we can get that to them. We have internet devices. People can get on the internet through our devices. So we have the technology available for families. So that's not an excuse. We have systems in place. And again, if families want to go off and go in the snow, more power to you. But we've also changed that schedule that we're thinking might accommodate both. And so anyway, learning from what's taken place and hopefully getting better at it. And hopefully we never have a winter like this again.
John, a quick question. And I always look at the Facebook page in the morning when I get up too, and you can see where the snow days are announced. But how do the parents know what materials or have available the materials the kids should be working on during a snow day? Because they're random. They don't know them until that morning or the night before.
Well, a couple things. Again, this is review and reinforcement. So it's not necessarily new material that they have to develop and put on.
But my point is, how are you communicating with them what they should be doing?
Well, that's all through Google Meet and Google Classroom. So we are a Google district, and we actually have Google apps that help accommodate that. In addition to that, at the elementaries, they have Class Dojo, which is a communication system. I think at Territorial, they actually give out papers the day before. They have QR codes that parents can scan for that information.
So the parents have at home already the ability to log in and find out what they should be working or the kids should be working.
They should, and that's one of the things that we want to do better next year is maybe do some, maybe a video on how to log into Google Classroom for the parents. And the younger the kids are, the more difficulty they have with that, and it may require more parent education on how to log in. But the Class Dojo, all the kids, pretty much K-5, all the parents are quite familiar with Class Dojo. That should not be an issue. But Google Classroom, we need to do a better job in educating our parents on how to utilize that and facilitate that for the kids.
So for each grade level, there will be material on Google Classroom for them that day that they're home.
It's actually by teacher, I believe.
Yeah, so it's by teacher,
By
and
teacher,
then secondary level, I mean, my teachers are on Google Meet. And so you can go on and you can witness what's taking place in their classroom with the students who have logged in.
So it's not a passive, it's an interactive
Very
experience.
interactive.
And for example, we're coming up with new schedules next year that will, at the high school, middle school, it's by period. So at this time, on an at-home learning day, you should be in period 1. At this time, you should be in period 2. Then there's attendance that's taken at that period as well.
So it's real-time interactions. when you say-
Absolutely.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And the
John, can you hear
administrators
me?
go on and.
Hang on just a second, we'll get to you.
The administrators, I go on and
Yeah,
so does
we're on.
Julie and everybody else, and we go in and see what they're doing. So they know they're, and some of them are doing awesome things.
Annie, you wanted to speak?
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Peter, I just wanted to tell you, so just for instance, my second grader, when we had our first at-home learning day, he knew I didn't think he was gonna know this, to be honest with you, but he was telling me what his name was, to get into his Google Classroom, and then what his password was, and I actually really thought he was making it up, but he knew it because the teacher said that they do that every single day. So as for a second grader, he knew his name, his password, everything. And it's not that I'm super computer smart, but we were able to get in, and our teacher's really great, but it was really easy for us.
Thanks, Ann. That's impressive.
I thought so too. I couldn't believe he could remember it.
Well, not only remembering it, but how you were able to get it set up and, on a second grader, get him logged in and starting his day.
Anything else, Annie? I'm sorry.
No, you.
No, I just wanted to tell him that even as a second grader, he was able to, they had it all set up for him,
All right, thank you.
Believe me, it's much easier for me to not call a snow day
It's
than it is to call a snow day. So the last
much
thing,
easier on us for you to do that too.
I have said this before, it's probably the worst decision a superintendent has to make because you make half the people mad. And invariably, it's going to be the sunniest day that we've had ever. So, but I don't take it lightly. It's not just something I do because I don't call a snow day, roll over in bed, turn off my snooze alarm, and go back to sleep. So I do want to get that across. It's a serious issue because I know the impact that it has on families. I really do. Any questions on any of that before we go into the calendar?
I like this idea of at-home learning. I think it reinforces, Dr. Moody, the notion that learning is life and that learning doesn't just take place in the four walls at school. So maybe more of it.
Well, it also
I'm sure I'd
gets
agree
parents
there.
involved in the child's learning. It gets the parents involved in the child's learning too, because if the parents don't reinforce learning at home, they don't learn as well as they do in school too. So, it has to come from home.
And we have a wonderful parent who is now promoted the whole idea
That's you, Amy.
from her experience.
Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah. And I was gonna tell you, I was just gonna say one more thing, there was precaution that was taken by, I can't speak for all the teachers because I can just tell you what my second grader had happened. And so he had a packet come home too, that just in case it was a snow day, they could do their packet as well as log on to Google Meets, which just made it so much easier for our family too.
Wonderful.
And again, that's really the teachers stepping up and really taking on something that's new to all of us. And I appreciate that, their effort, and the administrators overseeing that as well. Calendar, guess what's next week? We have spring break next week. April 10th is now the snow day makeup. That was supposed to be a professional development day for staff. So that's now going to be a makeup day for that's going to be a student attendance day now. We have our governing board meeting in April on the 10th. Some things to think about as we get towards the end of the year, and I'll have a more detailed list of end of year activities for you in April. But on May 3rd, Dr. Moody mentioned the Million Word Challenge Dinner, where we honor those kids K-12. Well, how low are we going this time?
Right now I have a first grader that potentially.
Okay, so first grade through 12th grade that have read 1,000,000 words, and we're going to honor those kids on that May 3rd at 5:30 at Del Rio School. So if you can let Karen know, we'll make sure that we get you a ticket to go. We have our May governing board meeting on the 8th. The last day of school is on the 23rd. And just another reminder on that, the last day of school, we do have our district recognition at 2:00 at Heritage, which is our ice cream social, but we also honor our retirees and those that have longevity at 5, 10, 15, 20. Do we have any 25s this year,
I haven't gotten that far.
Okay. But so we honor those people, our staff on that day. It is a 30-hour early release. You all are, one of the requirements you have is graduation, which is on the 23rd at 7:00 at Findlay Toyota Center.
24th?
24th, forgive me. 23rd is the last school day. 24th is graduation, which is that Wednesday. Then we have Memorial Day on the 29th, governing board meeting on the 7th, which is an odd day. I think that's a Wednesday. Because I'm going to be gone, that's why. And then end of fiscal year. One thing I do want to put on the schedule with your input is we got some feedback from ASBA about the strategic planning process. And I'd like to pick a day that we can start that meeting. We need to have a special meeting in March to do that.
So that's 3-hour session?
I believe so. That's what I've been communicating with Julie Bacon today was 3 hours. The preferred date would be the 29th, if you're available on the 29th of March. This is going to be strategic plan, the start of developing the strategic plan.
Afternoon?
I was thinking on the 29th, 1 to 3. And if we can finish maybe a little bit before 4, 1 to 4, a little bit before 4, we have SEAC in the same room at 4:00, that's all. So if we finish right at 4, they can come in.
Works for me.
It is a Wednesday. Do you know if you're available?
John, I just looked and I'm out of town for work that whole week.
How about on the 23rd from 11 to 2?
I could do that.
And we would bring in some lunch.
On this side.
Yeah, I've got a meeting, but not till 4:00
1, 2,
on the 23rd. So what time would it be?
11 to 2.
Oh, okay, that's better rather than the afternoon. I couldn't do it in the afternoon.
And where would that be held at?
It would be in here.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll work for me.
Same here. I'll just ask for off.
March 23rd, 11 to 2.
March 23rd, which is a Thursday, from 11 to 2.
The coaches meeting in here. I'll reschedule it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So
11 to 2, Thursday.
11 to 2, so we'll just need to get some lunch.
Any additional questions or comments for Mr. Schull? Anything else for
That's
us?
it. That's my report.
Thank you. Item 6C1 is our financial reports for February. Mr. Livingston.
Notes on the financials for the end of the month, February. I've got 4 pages there. Let's see. Just a quick look at our operating budget on the first page here, budget summary. Really close to 18 million. I'll be discussing why that increased just a little bit. If we follow it through, we have some expenditures that we use for grants and encumbrances. There's about 7 funds that don't have enough cash to get through the year, so they borrow from M&O, and then we repay M&O as the year goes by. After all that's said and done, we estimate that at this point, 4.12% of that budget will be free. 4% of 18 million is right on 720,000 that will be unspent. That's what we project will carry forward to next year. This year, we brought in from last year 737,000. We're kind of right on that bubble to bring in another 750,000, which gives us some options again for next year. Our capital, you may be concerned a little bit, the negative 29.18% in capital. We've got some encumbrances there for things we know we're not going to purchase next year.
This year.
Yeah, they're encumbered now.
Yeah.
We know we're not going to purchase them this year, and perhaps we won't even purchase them next year in some cases, or it kind of covers 2 years. But to get the vendors, the suppliers, like 2 buses right now are $458,000. You used to get a pretty good bus for $110,000. Now they're $225,000. So we've got the orders in, we've got the purchase orders there, but we've been waiting on buses since we ordered in July of 2021 that still haven't arrived yet. So we're 18 months out on a route bus. So those are placeholders that just eat up capacity. Sure. But we have to put the purchase orders in there. So it's not quite as bad as it looks, but we can't hide it. The budget's 2.8 million or 2.5 million, and encumbrances fully included 2.6. So we look like we're overspent. In fact, a lot of those are connected with next year. And adjacent ways, we haven't spent anything yet. We've got 2 things in mind for adjacent ways. First is to pay for some of the project at Del Rio at the entrance. And next is to pay for some of the paving and subsurface for parking lots over at the staff housing. And so that's what these encumbrances are for, 170,000. And this is something we can, again, we've talked about this. We can increase the levy. We're bringing in only 100,000 every year in adjacent ways. We can increase that if we really want to resurface places over at parking lots that had some erosion and some decay. So,
And
We haven't increased that levy in probably 12 years. So $100,000 12 years ago is a lot different than $100,000 now.
and don't we have to make that decision pretty soon?
June, July.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
the county board will pick that up when we do the adopted budget in July. So yeah, we want to know if we're going to raise the rate to bring in 200,000 a year or 300,000 a year. It doesn't cost the taxpayer a lot to give 300,000 a year more to the district. And right now it's stuck at 100.
And I think I remember one time it was like $3 or $4 an average person.
I think that's the last one.
Yeah.
Any other questions on this side? Here's good. Annie, do you have any questions for Mr. Livingston?
I do not.
Thank you, Marcia.
No, thank you.
All right, thank you for the information. And let's just keep you going with the student activity report.
Okay, student activity for February. We do have over 800, that's gonna be 800,000, over $8,000 in high school student council. We know they've got bands reserved, they've got a prom, they've got a place for the prom, they've got a couple other things they're working on. And they're the lion's share student council at the high school of the 11,000 encumbered in student activity at this point. The clubs are very well aware of their amounts and their ways to increase funds for fundraisers, and I think it's working really well. Any questions?
Thank you. All right, item 7A through G, tonight's consent agenda. If I could get a motion, please, to approve items A through F. I'm sorry, A through G.
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
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 Thank you, Annie. Item 8A, our proposed 2023 to 2024 classified salary schedule.
So there's going to be a slew of personnel agenda items. So I might talk about a few things that kind of overlap. But this is what staff is proposing is adding basically 30 cents an hour to the district minimum wage. The current minimum wage is $13.85 in the state. Our current minimum wage in the district is $14.70. We would anticipate that would go from $14.70 to $15 an hour, which is kind of like $15 sounds much better than $14.95. But on top of that, we're going to end up having another minimum wage increase in January. This would give us, I believe, enough room to absorb that without having to do a mid-year adjustment. It would allow like an 8% increase, which I think is not going to be, I don't think our inflation's running that right now. And that's an inflation tied calculation. So that 30 cents should get us through the year and still make us a little bit higher and a little bit more competitive than other, minimum wage employers in the area.
And this is an action item. Does anyone have any questions before we proceed? Comments? Is what it is. Annie, how about you?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, this is an action item, so we will need a motion to approve our classified salary schedule for the following year, for our next school year.
No, I'll move.
All right.
I move to approve the proposed 2023-24 classified salary schedule.
Fantastic. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Item, I only need my glasses tonight. 8B, the certified salary schedule now.
There is a add-on that's on your desk. This actually should replace the current salary schedule that's in here. So right now, our starting pay for teachers is $36,100. What staff is proposing is adding $900 to that to get to $37,000. So the base pay for contracts would be $37,000. Working with Mr. Livingston and Cindy, we believe that there's enough money in our current classroom site fund that we could give $13,000 in classroom site fund, which is what used to be called 301. So between this current new salary schedule and classroom site fund, the starting wage or rate for incoming brand new teachers, no experience, would be $50,000. Again, kind of like a magic number to consider. So, the bulk of that increase is coming from classroom site fund, but we feel that there was a big slug that came in that we haven't spent that we think that we can accommodate that increase. And part of that is, if you think about what's going on, you have increase in inflation is driving up prices. Sales tax is what drives that number. And so as prices go up, the income on that fund also will go up.
Any questions?
It's the only good news about inflation.
Over here. And you're confident we'll be able to sustain.
Everything that we're talking about on here, we feel that we can keep, yeah. Or that we can
So
afford.
50,000 for a bottom line teacher is what you're saying.
Correct. Now, what it's important to remember is that 13,000, we're going to propose, and you'll address this later, that 1,000 of that is a return to work stipend, kind of like what we did for everybody, whether you're new or returning. Your first pay is going to be $1,000 in the classroom site fund, and then the remaining 12 is paid out quarterly. So really, their biweekly pay, or in some cases, some teachers take it over 10 months. Is based on this $37,000. That's what goes into their biweekly pay. Everything else is done on a quarterly basis or $1,000 at the beginning of the school year. So that's important to remember, because that quarterly pay is, some people don't have, or it's hard when you're relying on that pay to do things to get it just quarterly, but that's how we do it.
It's a nice check.
It can be.
Times a year.
Well, and we do it, we do have those paydays, I think, conveniently spaced before fall break, before winter break, before spring break, before the end of the year. So there was a pay last Thursday. We do it at off weeks also, so it's a separate pay, not combined with their normal pay. And right, typically before people may be going on trips or vacations or that kind of thing.
That's nice. Very nice. All right, another action item. I'll entertain a motion to approve item 8B.
I'll second that one.
Do I have a first?
Sure. Yeah, you did.
Okay, thank you, Peter.
Sorry.
That's okay,
I
Marcia.
thought you said, Sorry.
What are we voting on?
Okay,
Let's
we'll
think.
read it out.
Go ahead,
Approve the 23-24 certified staff entry salaries schedule. Now it's
Fantastic.
on
We
the-
have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Item 8C, the administrative and classified directors contract renewals for fiscal year 23-24.
So this staff is proposing a 3% increase. The classified and certified increases are over 3%. So this is less than what's certified on a percentage basis, less than what certified and classified are getting. You can see there's some empty blanks there. You'll be the special ed director and the high school principal. You'll be approved on the salary schedule. Our middle school principal, we have put out for another search. And so we're still looking for our middle school principal, and we're hopeful that we get some additional candidates on that. Then what's interesting is with the retirements that we have, the cost to district's about $38,000. That's probably going to come close and being covered by the changeover in administration, because we have people that have been here for a significant amount of time, making higher salaries, replaced by those that make a lower salary. That increase is probably going to be made up by that decrease in salary for those positions.
I think it'll be basically even from last year.
It's going to be close.
Yeah.
I think most of it's going to be covered through that turnover.
Any other questions or comments? All right, another motion for item 8C. All right, don't everyone speak
Okay,
at
Mike.
once.
My turn. I move that we approve the administrative and classified directors contract renewals for fiscal year 2023 and 2024.
And I'll second that.
Thank you, Peter. A motion and a second. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Moving right along to our 23-24 contract renewals for certified staff and therapists.
So we already talked about the $900, which was the increase to the base. We want to make sure that all of our teachers also get that $900 to prevent people coming in making more than those that are here. And that's what that 1.7% does as well. So that's why that 1.7% came out. The $900 divided by our current base is pretty close to 1.7%. So people coming in with similar experience and education will not make more than our existing staff members.
At that level.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So that's where these numbers came from. The other thing I want to point out, and this is for all our employees, this is in policy, those employees that were hired into the district after January 1st are only eligible for the base increase, the $900. They haven't been here long enough to get the longevity increase of the 1.7%, basically. We have a few of those staff members, but that's what policy says. Someone that got hired yesterday is not going to get that 1.7%. They'll get the $900 because that's an adjustment to the base that everyone gets.
Any other questions, more discussion? Once again, I'll entertain a motion for this action item 8D.
I move that we approve the certified staff and therapist contract renewals for fiscal year 2023 and 2024.
1 second. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Peter. All in favor?
All right.
Aye. 2023-2024 classified hourly rate increases. Mr. Scholl.
We already talked about the 30 cents an hour. That came from the minimum wage increase in the district. The 1.5% is actually in the salary schedule going from year to year to the right. That's to your right, that's 1.5%. So that's where those numbers came from. Again, ensuring that people coming in with similar experience in education are paid at or less than what our current employees are getting paid, avoiding that leapfrogging effect. The amount is $215,000. Again, we believe that we can able to absorb this with our current situation. And we'll talk more about that in another agenda item.
Alrighty. I will entertain a motion for the certified hourly rate increases.
No, I guess I'll do this one then.
She's
Approval of the non-exempt classified salary increases beginning July 1, 2023.
And a second.
I'll second. Thank you, Marcia.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Annie, you're being quiet.
I heard her.
I said aye.
Well, I hear that, just everything else. You're scaring me a little. All right, item 8F, 2023-2024 employee benefits.
So we had Shelley Daly, who's the Human Resources Coordinator, and I met with both Kairos representative, who's the insurance company that does our medical and dental insurance, and then a representative from our insurance agent who works with Kairos, but they also provide life insurance, or they broker our life insurance and our vision insurance. And so what was interesting is right now we've had some significant claims. We have one employee that's over $500,000 this year so far. And what it's showing is we are trending about 116% of our premium is what's going out in claims. So we are 16% upside down. Kairos, and thankfully we are part of a pool. So that means there are districts that are 5%, there's districts that are 20%. And so above their premiums. And so Kairos voted last month to do a 7% across the board increase. And they tacked on to certain districts, including ours, an additional percentage based on what their loss ratio was, which is at 116%. And they added another 2. So for us, our medical is going up 2%. 9%.
Right.
It's 7 plus 2, additional 2, 9 total. And so that's where these numbers came from. It's a 001 impact of 122. I was thinking 100, to be honest, and so it's not too far off. The grant impact is 21,000 for about 144,000 total.
And there's not any difference in their actual benefit.
The benefits remain the same. The what they can get, they being employees, can get the same plan, the HDHP 2500 for free. So they can get a plan that's no cost to them. They can still buy down to the 5,000, which is a higher deductible. That difference can be used to either put into an HSA plan or into help pay for their benefit coverage. Or they pay more, or they can buy what's called buy up and pay to a PPO plan. The downside to that is you got to remember that employees pay 100% for their their kids and spouses. Those prices went up 9%, so they have to cover that. We do have a dependent only plan or a child only plan that's separate from Kairos. That's a little bit less, not as robust, but a little bit less cost. So we do have that available for some families. But and then also what is new this year is changes to Affordable Care Act, the Obamacare or whatever you want to call it, that allow a more friendly calculation. They used to, when dealing or addressing whether a family was eligible, they only looked at the person making the money, not the whole family. So it's that money for one person. Now it's that money for the entire family determines eligibility. Yeah. So more families are now eligible for that assistance. Premium tax credit is what it is. But anyway, that is somewhat helpful. So there is insurance went up. I mean, 2.5% to 3%, 2.4% to 2.8%. That's on dental. We have not, we don't have vision in here because we didn't have it in time. We'll come back to you on the vision. Again, dental and vision are 100% paid by the employee. No contribution by the district.
Any further discussion? All right, this is an action item. I'd entertain a motion to approve tonight's item 8F. All right, guys.
Okay, yeah.
Please start making the motion.
I'll make a motion.
There
Thank
we
you,
go.
Marcia. Annie, did I hear a second from you?
You did.
I thought so. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
All right, additional staffing plan for 2023-2024 school year.
Okay. This is something that we wanted to do for a long time. For those that have been around, and I know that at least, I don't know, Peter, if you were here, I know you were actually probably a teacher or administrator when this happened. Middle school and high school teachers used to have a prep period. A period within the day in which they could plan, which they could copy, which they could set up for labs if they were, or set up for activities, things like that. That was taken away. And it was it was an economic reason during the recession. It's been a goal of mine to bring, and then at the same time, we took away specials at the elementary school. It's been my goal to bring back specials and preps for our secondary teachers. This accomplishes that. It is a big lift. I'm going to tell you right now, this is a significant commitment. But and I can tell you that there's been some disagreements among the staff, or I say staff, amongst Cindy, John, and I on how and whether this would work. And we think we've come up with a plan in order to do that. The three of us. It's going to require us to be flexible. Which means if enrollment goes down, we're going to have to make some adjustments and cut staff like we would normally have to do. We're going to have to be creative in how we use funds. This is not all coming out of M&O. This is coming out of M&O, maybe some additional assistance. If you looked on the financial report, there was $94,000 that is coming out of our M&O right now annually for our energy savings project. That energy savings project ends this year. That's going to go into M&O. We have a program called MIPS, which is Medicare reimbursement, that we're going to start. We have, carry forward. We have, and to be honest, the benefit, this would not have been able, or we would not be able to accomplish this without ESSER. We're able to basically be creative in how we use that to help fund this. And so with all those things in play and us being willing to make hard decisions and making this a priority, we are confident that we can do this. We're talking $1 million. Okay, 17 staff members. Mr. Moody asked for PE, one PE teacher at each of the elementary schools. We would have our ELL numbers, our kids coming across the border unaccompanied and coming into our district. Those numbers have increased significantly. And I think I put a number in here because I looked it up. 40% increase based on our group B weights year over year. That means we have 40% more kiddos that do not speak English. And a lot of those are at the high school. And we've done some support there. But we currently have one teacher supporting Del Rio and Heritage. And we have an aide, I believe, that's supporting Territorial. So the proposal is, and then we have a half-time teacher and an aide that is helping out at the high school. Our proposal is to add 2 more teachers so that each K-8 school has their own dedicated teacher, and the high school would stay with the half-time teacher and aide. We're drowning in EL. We need that. What we've also seen, y'all know we have trouble finding teachers, and it's not unique to Chino Valley Unified School District. We have a significant number of teachers that we're going to call non-traditionally certified. Traditionally certified means they get their education degree in however many years, and part of that education degree is they've done student teaching. They come out with the pedagogy and the real life experience, go into classroom, still need tons of support. Undoubtedly, they need support. Even experienced teachers need support. We have a mechanism in place to support that through our instructional coaching program. Well, when we, go ahead, you had a question.
So that already exists. Are you talking about additional?
That supports our traditionally certified teachers. Our non-traditionally certified teachers have different needs that we believe require one coach to address their needs. These are teachers that may have a bachelor's degree and have no pedagogy, have no classroom experience, and based on their bachelor's degree, they're able to get a certificate. We have teachers that have no bachelor's degree. We have teachers that are on their way to bachelor's degrees. We have a wide variety of people that are on our non-traditionally certified tracks that we're supporting to get certified, fully certified. But they have a different set of needs that need to be addressed differently. That's what this one person would do, would be address their needs. So that's 5. 2 PE, 2 ELL, and a additional instructional coach. Then we've identified additional 5 FTEs for the middle school to get the preps back there, and 7 at the high school to get preps back there. Okay. And a word of note on that. Us trying to find 12 secondary teachers, this could be difficult. We've had some luck. We think we have a PE teacher on the hook. We think we have an EL teacher on the hook. Actually, you may approve them later. So we're getting, and we think we may have a coach. And we're working on that. So but the 12 secondary teachers, we may have some difficulty. So we want to give the schools the option, the principals the option, and the teachers the option, this is a very common way to handle this. This would be an overload period. So teachers still teach 5 and they have their prep period, but they actually get paid to teach their prep period. And that's a very, very common practice. It's nothing unique to Chino Valley schools. And it would be one way to address this in the short term, maybe long term as people leave and we are able to pick up people and things like that, we can keep that. I believe this is a significant recruitment and retention issue that this would address. You know, we're working our teachers to death and they can go work somewhere else, make close to what they're making now and work 20% less.
Doing so at a 25% rate per year.
Right.
Right.
So we have the advantage of a 4-day week. We lose teachers because we're working them to death. And we may still, they still may be working the same amount, but they may be getting a little bit paid more to do that. That's really what the deal is.
For
So,
clarification, it's a 40% increase in our ELL numbers rather than 40% of the population.
correct.
Okay.
So our
I wasn't making
EL
sure
numbers
I
have
heard it.
increased 40% year over year.
Okay.
That is correct. It's not 40% of our numbers, no.
If I can make a
So,
quick.
you
ahead,
go
Mike.
first.
I just want to say, John was nice enough to spend, I don't know how long it was, with me on the phone this morning, going through the details of this financing plan. And it is complex, and it does involve moving funds back and forth depending on where we are on the ESSER funds and, our different funds. And I think he made it clear to me that it is possible at some point that we may not get all the funds that we need. And so we may have to make staffing adjustments in the future. But it sounds like it's solid to begin with. And boy, it sure sounds, everything he talked about is terribly needed. And I congratulate he and both Johns on being able to put this plan together. It's an incredible piece of financial wizardry.
Yes, I agree. Mike?
So I've observed over the course of the year, several proposals that I've described as very clever and very innovative from our administrative staff. So I'm curious about how innovative and clever you have been in this investment because the ESSER funds are sort of one-time cash payments, yet we're committing them to long-term costs, those dollars. So it seems to me you're counting on future increases in order to cover that. And is that risky? And is that the risk that Peter was just talking about, that in the future we may find ourselves having to cut?
So what we're talking about, we feel comfortable, we can get through 2 years.
After 2024?
2023, and then one additional year, 2024. We've got 2 years.
Right.
But to your
Okay.
question, the answer
got it.
is yes.
I got it.
Yes. But we feel confident that we can get through 2 years. But then it's that third year that, may need some, if there's no increases, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
So significant increase in our staff. Really significant new investment in our schools, our kids, our staff. How do you think this will impact student achievement? And when we might see those kinds of results? Because that's really what we're about, first and foremost, student achievement.
Right. And these 17 teachers
Mhm.
are basically classroom teachers. They are, it's not, we have one instructional support, which is the coach, but that's helping teachers become better teachers, which has that impact. I think that happier teachers are going to teach better. I think if we can retain teachers, that's going to make better instruction. If we can recruit teachers, that's going to make better instruction. When that's going to happen, I don't want to even predict. I don't know. But everything that we're talking about here is really geared towards improving instruction, in my mind. I don't know if that answers your question, but I can't answer the question on when.
You see
I think
that,
the abstraction, yes. And I'm certainly supportive of that.
I was gonna ask, do you see that we'll be getting more, only, children that aren't speaking English in our schools as, just keep increasing, or?
I think that's a political question, and I think there's some things coming up, to be honest, in the next couple months that may impact that on the political front, what's going on down at the border and things like that. So
Marcia, I couldn't hear your question.
Right.
No, I was just, if you think we're gonna have more children that can't speak English coming into our schools.
Okay.
I know we're trying to help the kids that we already have, but do you think they're gonna have an increase? That's what I was.
Anecdotally, we hear things like, from our kids, hey, I'm staying at Tio's, and, I'm going to have another cousin come and live with Tio as soon as Tio builds something onto another place for them to live. And so I think that there is for whatever reason, a desire to send those kids across, typically unaccompanied, and come here. And we have a community that's willing to welcome them. And so my guess would be yes, but I don't have any solid evidence other than anecdotally to support that.
Now, the teacher that you're hiring for the EL, can speak
Marcia,
English and
may I
Spanish?
ask you to speak up just a little bit,
Oh,
please?
okay, I'm sorry. I know I have a soft voice, I'm sorry. So the teachers that you're hiring for the EL, they can speak English and Spanish, right?
They don't have to be. They don't have to.
You don't have to speak Spanish.
Correct.
Okay.
Not all our ELs are Spanish speakers.
Well, I meant, basically was what I'm talking about. Yes, but I'm just saying they can speak English and another foreign language for bio.
Not necessarily,
bilingual.
No, they could just be just English.
Okay,
but they have
Special
training in how to teach students that don't speak English in order to help them do that.
How to communicate with them.
okay. I just wondered,
In whatever your political ilk, these are our kids. We have to educate them, and we don't have a choice, and we're going to do that.
For educating
Yeah.
children, that's for sure. It doesn't matter
Yep.
what home life they have or whatever.
And again, these are kids.
Right, that's exactly right.
Sometimes not their choice.
Yep.
No.
Any other discussion? Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the additional or the staffing plan for 23-24?
I'd be very happy to make that motion.
Thank you, Peter.
And I will second
I
it.
move to approve the
Oh,
addition of
okay.
17 full-time equivalent certified staff for the 23-24 school year.
And I will second that one. Oh, and I guess Amy did too. so.
It sounds like everyone's on board. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This one I'm excited about. I may even make the motion on this one. Grow your own employee incentive program.
Several months ago, you approved a program to help two groups. One is that non-traditionally certified group, and another is classified staff that may want to become teachers. And so this is an employee that is wanting to take advantage of that.
For those that may be watching on YouTube or anyone in the audience that is not familiar with this, would you describe it for us, please?
So, yes, I can. So what happens is we have staff members that may be paraprofessionals or other classified staff that want to go to school to become a teacher. And so you can actually go to college through the Arizona Teacher Academy for free to become a teacher. There are some costs, tests, books, and things like that. So as long as they're our employee, we will work with them to help cover those small costs. And then if they sign on with us after they get their teaching certificate, they get a stipend to help them cover any costs that they've incurred otherwise. Then they have an obligation to us for the number of years they're in the program. They have an obligation to the district to for that many years. They're in a program, a 4-year program. They owe us 4 years. If it takes them 5 years, I think we put a limit of 6 on this. But if they can finish in 3, they only owe us 3. And then if they leave early, there's a monetary consequence to that. But this is just a way to help our classified staff become teachers and help us ease a teacher shortage. The other is we have teachers with or staff that already have a bachelor's degree, and there's alternative pathways for them to get their certificate, and we'll support them that way. Usually a 1 or 2 year program, they get a stipend, then they owe us 1 or 2 years as a teacher. But just a way to support staff to become teachers financially.
I love this. Is this person our only application so far?
No, you've approved others already.
Probably a month, we had a couple.
Well, I was sleeping through that part. I would have been just as excited, I promise. All right. Any other discussion, comments,
I have to
questions,
say, I
excitement?
think it's a great idea.
I do too. Let's see, who would like make a motion to approve this?
I will make a motion to approve.
Then I'll second it.
Application for employee incentive program.
Thank you. And Peter, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Thank you, Annie. Item 8I, farm worker position change.
So currently we have a farm worker that works at the farm at the Cooper Ag Center. He is a 12-month employee, and he's been asking for an extended vacation in the wintertime when there's nothing growing on the farm. So instead of making him 12 months or having him work 12 months and him using up all his vacation and actually using more vacation than he has, we're changing his schedule to accommodate having a couple months off in the wintertime. And it's similar to a teacher contract or some of our classified staff have this similar schedule. They had kind of an extended 10-year contract, 10-month. This is a 10.5-month, 158 days. And instead of having the 2 months off in the summer, it's basically December and January off when there's nothing growing at the farm. And so it's just a way it saves the district money, but he's already using all his leave and we're having to dock his pay, that kind of stuff. So this just kind of solves that problem.
Absolutely.
Sounds like a great idea.
All right, without any other discussion, may I have a motion, please, to approve the farm worker position change?
All the motion is approve the farm worker
Thank you, Marcia.
registry change.
Annie, was that a second?
yes,
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Item 8J, security guards. Are you Jeff?
So we had the presentation. And I believe that there's some people that would like to speak in support of, it could be opposition, I'm not certain. But if you could maybe call them up, but they need to let us know who they are.
Absolutely.
Oh, she's got a form,
I see
great.
a form and a.
Okay, this isn't all notes, I just have a list of names. Hi, honor and gratitude for all of you, because I know it's a thankless job a lot, especially on questionable snow days. And at least we're not in 2020 or 2021. With that being said, my name is Annie Perkins. My husband and I combined blended family have 6 kids that have been born and raised and graduated through Chino Valley School District. We still have 3 in high school, so good for us, and congratulations on future retirement. With that being said, the first time I've been at one of the school board meetings was when the debate about the school bus safety issue was, and I swore I'd stay in the back and be quiet, and I have a problem of not being able to do so. With that being said, I'm happy to see that has been addressed. What it comes down to me personally is the safety of our kids, right? Because we have a lot of them. And our kids know that even if he picks on them or is a pain in the butt or, he's annoying or whatnot, they know that Officer Busy will always protect them. And they have full confidence, and I have full confidence in the formation of the security to be armed. And with that being said, I have a list of parents that are also in favor of this, and I'm just going to read their names because they have given me permission to do so. They're not able to be here tonight. So my husband, Danny Perkins, Jesse Bannon, Lindsay Roscoff and family, Leanne Garden, Daniel Lane, Justin and Sabrina Holm, Tanner Stasinski and family, Aaron Duskins, Eric Granillo and family, and Leanne, I already said Leanne. So from the parents that I've spoken to, quite a few are very much in favor of this, and I just wanted to share that with y'all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I see other cards. Please come forward.
I didn't fill out a card, sorry. My name is Catherine Andrews, and exactly what Annie said, I kind of mirror that exactly. I have one son who goes to Heritage, and he knows that Officer Pizzi is always there. I think that since Officer Pizzi has been there, the relationship between the kids and the police has grown and become such a good relationship. And I think that having the armed officers is a really good idea. The way that the world is right now, you just never know. And I know that with his training and everything that he brings to the table to make this something that's possible, I think is a really great idea. And I know my family and several other families that, just like Annie, I don't have their names, so I'm not going to speak for them, but we're all totally in favor of this. So thank you.
Anyone else? All right, seeing none.
I have a couple things if I can add.
Yes, please.
I had this discussion at SEAC, which is a Superintendent Employee Advisory Committee. And Larry was there. He was part of that committee. And they actually made a motion to support this idea. It was overwhelmingly positive comments about this program or about the possibility of arming security. I have not received any negative, to be honest. I haven't received any negative from anybody. I did receive a positive email. We got information out about it on Facebook. I had a community meet and greet on Tuesday, and like I mentioned, Marcia was there. Officer Pizzi was there to kind of answer questions. I had to bring it up. They wanted to talk about other stuff. And I brought it up. And I think there was a lot of concern about it, but I think it was to the, and Madam Chair, you brought this, it was your comment, I think at the last meeting. I don't want to vote for this, but I think I have to because the situation.
I
No
don't
one-
want it to be,
Yes.
but I know it needs to be.
Thank you for clarifying that. But I think that's the feeling that everyone has. It's unfortunate that we're to this point in society. Anyway, the second thing I wanted to add was I had a conversation with the school district's attorney today and about other stuff and actually something on the agenda, but I brought up this question and about armed security guards. And he was very much in favor of it. Not that his opinion for or against is really that consequential, but he's also says that there's significant number of, or that he has policies that he's worked with districts to put in place that we could use as model policies and procedures. And really that is what, in my feeling, is what I'd like to see, I'd like to ask to be approved tonight, is to move forward with developing the policies and procedures that ultimately you as a board would have to approve in order for this to take place. Because right now we can't just say, go forward, young man, because we don't have, we need to put those things in place. And one of the things that he also said that is right in line with what Officer Pizzi was talking about is the first thing he says is I highly recommend that they're post-certified. And if you recall, that's what that means that they've 3 years out from being a law enforcement officer.
Yeah, 3 years after retirement, you lose your certification, your post-certifications.
And then what's the second one that we talked about, the other certification?
LEOSA certified, and those are the officers that have lost their certification. However, they continue to carry credentials and stay qualified with their firearm annually.
And he was okay with that, as well as the honorably discharged military. So the three categories that Officer Pizzi had talked about, our attorney was okay with as well. So, but I think, we're not ready to arm somebody tomorrow anyway. But I think that we're at a point that with your approval, that we can move forward with developing the policies and procedures that would have to come back to you for approval at some point.
I think we discussed this last month
Yeah,
quite
good discussion
extensively.
last month,
Yes. So again, I just want to say, I am not opposed to this. I just wish we didn't have to have it.
Well,
Uh,
we should think of the safety of our kids. in this
absolutely.
world we live in.
Very much so. Annie, any comments or questions?
No, you guys all know I'm in favor of this, so.
Absolutely. All right, if I could have a motion to approve us going forward enacting policies and procedures for our security guards. and
Developing.
Developing.
Correct.
We need to say armed security guards, so it's very clear to everybody.
Okay, thank you.
And then I'll
That
make
sounds like you.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll definitely second it.
Thank you, Marcia. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I
All right, personnel report.
Okay, on the personnel report, there is a supplement, so please make sure you get that out. But on the personnel report, not included in the supplement, 4 new certified, 4 new classified, 3 resignations, 3 retiring, 3 classified changes, and 185 timesheets for your approval. A couple things that I want to point out are number 1 is Ms. Justine Crawford. She is our new principal candidate for Chino Valley High School. And she is currently the assistant principal at Durango High School in Las Vegas, not Durango, Colorado, but Durango High School in Las Vegas, Nevada. And it's interesting talking with her. Her high school's larger, about the size of our district. And 7 assistant principals or something to that effect? Some, which is more than we have in our entire district. But I think that I'm excited. I think she'll come in. She's excited. She has family here already. She has some stepchildren in Prescott Valley. And so she knows at least with the community, what she's getting into. And so I'm excited about her. The other one is number 4, Maya Caldwell. Maya Caldwell is our special ed director, our new special services director. We are losing a fantastic special services director. I want to thank Dr. Burdette. We had a conversation today. She's going to help us transition to this new one. And I appreciate her work with doing that. And so she is coming from Prescott Unified School District and has special ed and significant grant experience. So I'm excited about that. I may make Karen cry up a little bit about number 10. Kathleen Little is retiring. Kathleen's a long time employee in the district. She's worked at schools. She was I think registrar for a little while. She was administrative assistant when I was at the high school principal or assistant principal. She's done a fantastic job as our student data coordinator, keeping our student numbers accurate so that we can get accurate funding. And then also we've had some significant challenges with our student information system. Nothing to do with us. It's been the student information systems, and she, and along with a team that she works with, have gotten us through it the best that they could. She is a fantastic employee. We'll miss her. And then of course number 14 is Carolyn Reeder, who helped us out. This has been a fantastic resource this year as an administrator on assignment, but she is going to make the move permanently up to Colorado to be next to her kids and grandkids. So we're excited for her about that. So those are some of the highlights on here, and I'm here to answer questions.
Any questions? All right.
I would just like to make a comment
Please.
before we leave the personnel portion of the agenda. I've been a member of the community for 30 years, associated in one way or another with the school district for 25. I'm as encouraged by what is taking place in the district as I have been in probably those 25 years. And I am particularly excited about all the developments that are taking place with our personnel and our investment in our kids and our families. So.
Thank you. That's without good teachers, without good staff, we can't be good educators. And so we're doing our best.
You bet.
I agree. Exciting times around here. If I could have a motion to approve tonight's personnel report with supplement.
I move to approve the personnel report plus the supplement.
Thank you. Second,
Second.
Peter. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And Mr. Livingston, again, our budget revision number, does that say 2?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. We have until May 15th to revise our current year budget. I see our May meeting is, I believe, the 8th, 7th or the 8th. So we'll have another revision coming back in May. So what we do is we look at our student count reports. We look at, there's 7 other reports that we look at throughout the year. And I think it's advantageous right now to do this in March. And then when we hit the May revision, we just see if there's any differences in what we have for numbers and what the state has for our numbers. So that's why I'm bringing this forward. I think there's some value in doing it. And then there's one thing that kind of triggered it, and I'll get to that on page 7. If you could just go to your legal pages here at the back of your little packet and just look at that page 1. And there's 2 numbers to draw to your attention there. $18,075,000 for the operating budget, $2,870,000 in the capital budget. And those numbers are supported by the February 24th. That's called a Budge 25 report at the state. And so we're right on with our student count. The interesting thing about student count is the 100th day, I think, was 2 weeks ago, 27th of February, something like that. That report still hasn't been generated yet. And it's called the 100th day at ADM report. So here it is, the 8th of March, it's still not there. So from my angle, there's some uncertainty because, again, that could have gone down 2 or 3 students. And we're holding right at 2,258 students for the year. That's, again, less than the enrollment. Enrollment's closer to 2,400, but some students are half a full-time equivalent. So with the student counts that we have, those are the numbers that we're looking at for the year. If you go back to page 7, all the numbers that I want to really discuss in length are on page 7, and that's a little easier to read. It's a portrait page. Starts with calculation of the general budget limit up top there. And there's just 4 things, well, actually 3 things I'd like to discuss. The top line is student generated revenue. You see the portion under the A column for maintenance and operation, 17.1 million. And part of the way we're transitioning some of these staff members from the COVID funds back to the district, because we know that's coming when the COVID funds end next June of, well, actually September of 24, there's 17 months left. But when they come back, we need to have funds available for them. So you see that number to the right, we could keep that in our M&O fund, that 532,000, but we're placing it in capital. And we can do that, transfer it, and then it's there when we need to move it back to our operating fund, so to speak. So this is an effort to show that with current M&O budget, if you go all the way to the bottom, 18.075 million, that can get us through the year for our operating needs. Again, salaries, insurance, benefits, travel, and then for capital items, we're moving some of that, which we haven't done for several years, been able to have that. We did it last year for 740,000, moved it over into capital and left it there. And doing it again this year, and the plan is to do it again next year, 23-24 year, for at least another 500,000 or 600,000. So when those ESSER folks come back in 24-25, there's a place for them and some funds set aside.
In fact, John, is like building reserve,
Mhm.
tap into.
So it's an overt move to see that we're planning for the return of some of these salaries in COVID. If you go down a little bit further and you go down to line 8C, budget balance carry forward, that 737,000 that we mentioned, that's what came into this year's operating budget from the 21-22 year. Money that we had, not money, capacity. Budget doesn't follow cash. Cash is more like 1.1 million that came forward, but the capacity, so that's 737,000 we didn't spend last year. It increased this year's budget. And that's gonna, again, we anticipate that there'll be over 700,000 that we also have reserved this year that we bring forward in the operating budget next year. So everything kind of is a weaved tapestry, if you want to look at it. You have to have at least 4 years on the docket. And I go back to the 19-20 year and then move forward to the 25-26 year. So there's 6 years of data that are kind of in my mind when I look at these things. We go down one more. This is kind of a hiccup. You go down to line 8H. If you're familiar that we've been bringing this up for a couple of years now, maybe more. Transwestern
You all know the
Utilities.
Transwestern name, and yeah.
Transwestern Utilities, I think Cindy was telling me, in one situation where it crosses 3 counties, it crosses 4 school districts, something like that. It's an amazingly complex utility line, like a pipeline. Well, now we've had an assessment of that value, and we owe them back 143,000 we collected in property tax. It's called excessive property tax assessed valuation judgment. So we don't have to dig that necessarily out of our operating budget this year. We're able to, I call it aidable. We can put that into this line, and then the state equalization that we get, because we get about $10.2 million every year from the state in that state equalization, that goes up to pay this. So we transfer it. We've already paid it to the treasurer. I took him a check last week, and I'll tell you, if you want to make a payment to the treasurer and they're closed at 4:15 on Thursday like they were last week, there is a drop box outside the door. So that's what I did last week. So
Just in
it's
case.
paid, and now we're going to get that from the state at the end of the year, because they do adjust this and they take those numbers up for us. And that's really all I had. The 532,000 that we're saying this year, we will leave an M&O, leave it alone so much that we can actually transfer it out, park it over in the capital fund. And then when we need to draw those 3 years of deposits back into M&O that's sitting there in capital. So we can do that. And that's basically the second revision. We'll do another one May 15th. Probably, I imagine there'll be some more factors that come along. One that we're quite interested in is there's a new weight now for free and reduced lunch students. It's a 0.018. So if we've got 1,000 students out of the 2,400 that are qualified for free and reduced lunch, that 1,000 times the 0.018 is 18 more students at almost 5,000 a student, another 90,000 that could come into the district this year. It's just not funded yet on these little sheets that I look at. Superintendent mentioned this one here, 9B, if you look at that page, that 94,000, that's going away next year. That's for these energy projects, and that's been a cost. We've paid those for 9 years now, and this is the last payment that goes door in April, and then that number goes to zero from a negative 94,000.
That's the solar panels, right?
Yes.
No, no,
Those
that's
are-
the energy savings project. So that was lighting changes, some HVAC changes, thermostats. That was the big things. Yeah.
And Climate Tech was the contractor. and
Correct.
They put these throughout all 4 buildings.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, the solar panel folks are kind of on their own, like Tesla owns one at the high school. So when we had some incidents where there was some impact with some of the solar panels, that was on Tesla to fix and replace and repair. So,
Well, doesn't APS own most of them though?
and then the other 3 schools, I think, are APS.
That's correct.
Okay.
But this was on our own initiative, Climate Tech and Honeywell to do these. And now one's paid off. This year, the second one will be paid off. So that does free up.
And what's interesting is a lot of, at least the HVAC and thermostats work that was done on those contracts are all going to be changed out either through SFB projects or the big SFB project that we're doing. So, yeah.
So not a lot in motion here. It's just, I wanted to give the state a little heads up on they need to increase our equalization by that 143,000 because we don't want to surprise them too much in May. So, but again, we'll probably bring this back to you in May for another. Thank you.
Quite clear as always. Any other questions or discussions? All right. A motion to approve the 23 district expenditure budget revision number 2. Anyone?
I will certainly make that motion.
Thank you, Peter. I'll second. We have a thing going on with this. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I like hearing him. Okay, so item 9A is our second reading of revised policies, GCCA, the professional support staff, undifferent, oh my gosh, I need my glasses. Anyways, it's item 9A. And I'm gonna let Larry, are you coming forward, or Mr. Scholl, or we're just gonna approve it?
Well, there's
Make it approve it.
a couple things. When I spoke to the lawyer, it was about these policies this morning, along with some other stuff. GCCA, he thought was actually well-written, and he had absolutely no issues with that. And if you recall, that's changing the leave, the allowed leave accumulation from 960 hours down to 480. Hopefully it would encourage more people to not use leave because you could maybe get a little bit of money. At the same time, that meets 480 hours is what a typical FMLA limit would be that you could take in a year. And then on top of that, we have something that you approved last year, which was the leave bank, where you can do a matching leave bank or matching leave allocation if you do FMLA, Family Medical Leave Act. So there's no changes there. On the drone policy, there is a revised one on your desk that the attorney would like to see if it's going to be approved. The changes include, I think in the first bullet point, and I'm going to pull up the old policy, the old one, just so that it talks about needing approval if students are present. He wanted that gone. He'd like to see approval no matter when it's taking place, whether they're students or not on campus. If you're going to use a drone, you need approval. The second part had to do with number 4. If you look at number 4, it talks about a teacher, and he thinks that's better to just talk about district employee. And in this case, it makes sense because we have a drone club at the middle school, and I believe one of the advisors is our behavior coach, who's not a teacher. So district employee is better, and those were the 2, I believe, changes that he was asking for. And so it would be this current version is what we'd ask to be approved.
All right, so if someone would like to make a motion to approve policies GCCA and regulation EBB dash R with the revised policy from our attorney,
And undifferentiated leave.
and that one too. Thank you. Are you?
Well, I guess I did.
Thank you, Peter.
With the amended drone policy.
Correct. I'll second it. Thank you, Marcia. I'm gonna assign numbers next time. just so that you know. All in favor? Aye. Good night, all. Have a great month. Is that
Guys, could we
tomorrow?
get some
Signatures,
Yes.
yes.
Please.
Tomorrow.
And then there's that SFB. Thank you. Thank you,
Uh,
Mr. Thomas. SFB sheet,
Oh.
another 13,000 for
I'm sorry about that one. Did you just use my stamp?
So, you have a teacher opening,
Staff house.
you have an EL teacher they'll hire.
I know. Ed, and I are
Well,
around.
Okay.